Hi, I'm Miss MacDonald. I'm the Raising Standards leader for Year 8. I will have had an opportunity to meet some of you already, and I look forward to meeting you more as the year goes on. Today, what I'm here to talk to you about is our Year 8 options. So, as you know, we begin our GCSE journey at the Academy in Year 9. This means that our options process begins in Year 8, and this will be conversations that students are probably coming home and having with you at the minute. Year 8 will have already had this assembly today, so this is just so we can explain it to you as parents or as carers so that you can support the students in their journey. If you see on the screen, our Key Stage 3 curriculum in Year 7 and 8 looks like this. So we have our core subjects, which are English, Maths, Science, RPS and PE. These subjects do not change up in GCSE, they remain the same. What changes then is our subjects, our non-core subjects on the right-hand side. In Key Stage 3, we want to offer a broad and balanced curriculum. This means that the subjects that you can see now on the screen, they all remain the same. The exception is PSHE during house tutor time, which is delivered once a week by house tutors. Everything else is taken as a normal lesson. So what we really need to look at going forward then is what are the differences between Year 7 and 8 and Year 9. So the key difference is the non-core subjects. So at the moment, Year 8s are studying 8 of these non-core subjects. In Year 9, they will be reduced to 4. So we'll have 4 non-core subjects. Some really important points to remember is that at the beginning of Year 9, students study 4 of those options. All students must choose either history or geography. They can choose both, and I'll explain that in a few minutes. The majority of students, we'd recommend they continue to study French or Spanish. All subjects in Year 9 go into quite a bit of depth, and some even involve starting the aspects of GCSE. We don't introduce any new subjects in Year 9 at all. So business will not be introduced at Year 9. If you see here, this is an example of a Year 9 student's timetable. So as I've mentioned, their core subjects remain the same. They do not change. What is changing then are their options. So here the student has done the compulsory humanities, which is history or geography, and they've chosen history. They've kept their Spanish and they've kept computer science and they've kept art, and they've chosen to drop the rest. Again, very similar situation here. We have French, which was chosen, and we have geography, which was the humanities subjects that was kept. They've also kept drama and art and decided to drop everything else. It's really important to note that some of these subjects might be oversubscribed. So sometimes we might have 120 students that want to do art, but we might not have the staffing to do this or the timetable and to do it. We also might not be able to accommodate subjects that are happening at the same time. So if French and Spanish are happening at the same time, well, students probably can't do both. We do offer alternative courses and we do speak to these students individually. We don't want any surprises here in September. But the reason that we get you to fill out your form and do a 1 to 4 or 1 to 5 preference is because we want to avoid these problems. They might not get their first choice for whatever reason, but hopefully they will be offered their second. So it's really important to remember that when you're filling out your form. At Key Stage 2, students were assessed. Their prior attainment is based on their Key Stage 2 scores, and this then will reflect in the colour of the slip that you are given. We have yellow, which is for high attainers. We have pink for mid, we have blue for low, and we have green for our ex-nurture group students. So I'm going to run through a couple of examples of how you might fill this out on options evening. So let's take the example of a yellow slip. So this would mean the student is high attaining. They must choose a humanities. they must choose, or they are recommended to choose, French and Spanish. And if they'd like to keep a second humanities subject, they must list it in list C. On that then, with their 4 options, they can list it 1 to 4 in order of preference. But it's really important to note that they choose a humanities subject, and if they want a second one, that goes in list C. Our pink slip then is for our Mediterranean students. So here they must choose a humanities subject, and then we recommend they choose French or Spanish, but what comes next then goes in list B, and they list it 1 to 5 in order of preference. 1 being the one they want the most, 5 being the one they want the least. This is for our ex-nursery group students. So again, they choose a humanities subject, but they only get 2 of the choices in list B, because we recommend that they take part in Prince's Trust, which is a separate qualification, and it really focuses on personal development and employability skills. So therefore, they will get 2 of these options and Prince's Trust, but they do the same thing and list in order of 1 to 4 preference. Some advice that we would give students is that you should really have conversations with teachers, with parents, carers, talk to students who have maybe done this last year or a couple of years ago. It's really important to also to consider, if they have a career in mind already, well, what option best suits that career? Because if we get to the level of GCSE and they didn't choose history but want to study that at A level, that might create some barriers there. So it's really important that they're having these conversations. They must choose subjects, or we'd recommend that they choose subjects that they have an actual interest in and that they are successful in. That's really important, because it does make it for a more welcoming and happier environment if they like the subject. We don't recommend that they choose the subject just because they like the teacher or because their friends are choosing it, because classes are always changing. We don't think that choosing the subject will be easy, but we do think that if they ask for as much advice as possible, the process might be a little bit easier. So on the 10th of March, you will be given an appointment that will allow you to talk to a member of staff. That might be me, that might be Miss Mackenzie. There's quite a few members of staff involved, and in that we will have a conversation about filling in the form. You'll fill it in with the teacher so that it's sent directly to us there and then, and you will really have an opportunity to have a conversation about, is it the right option for your child? Teachers are always on hand. I'm always on hand. If you have any questions at all about this presentation, you feel free to ask me, feel free to ask the students, because they'll have had it already and house tutors will be discussing it in the class. So please do drop me an email if you have any questions. I look forward to seeing you on the 10th of March.